What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. So for the next 3 days, we're covering different decks that you could play at NAIC, or decks that I think that you should play at NAIC. I'll go ahead and tell you the 3 decks that I'm thinking about playing is going to be either Lugia, I'm thinking about playing Mew, or I think about RCS. Those decks are the decks I'm having the most fun with. And so today we're talking different variations of that deck that you could play, that you could see. Deck cards. This is all thanks to trainerheal.com. Make sure you check out the website. Fantastic. They have so much data on there. Twitter. They actually made a Twitter post. That's what made me think about this and like start looking at the different lists and showing them off. And yeah, I think Lugia. It's been really consistent, really good. I think it has like a straightforward game plan. You're just trying to like knock things out, but I think it still has its cool things you can add and do. And the thing about Lugia now is we don't really know which one is better. Is the Lugia single strike deck better, or is this new Lugia kind of colorless kind of variant? Which one is better? That's kind of up to you to decide. I think Lugia is in a cool place because of that. You have all these different options now in different decks that you could build. I just like Lugia because it's like, hey, get the Archeops discard pile, use Lugia VSTAR, summon start the Archeops, and you're good to go. I like that. It's you know what you're doing. And I don't know. It just seems really good. So Lugia V-Star, we're playing a 4-3 in both versions most of the time. Oh, this one, okay, it's 4-3. 4-3 Lugia with the Archeops, 4 of those. Both of these are playing 4 Archeops. Luminion is always great. Luminion is great in Lugia because when you use Luminion for the Professor Burnett, and guarantee those 2 Archeops and discard pile if you need to. But also, you could find Boss Sorter. We see this list is playing Boss Sorter. We see that people aren't really playing Serena anymore, and that's because there's more EX in the game now. Now, on the downside of that is you can't discard as much, but I think people are starting to realize that you can Luminion away, the Archeops for the Professor Burnett. Now, this list, it's kind of interesting. Because now with Single Strike, you actually don't see, you don't see Urshifu in here anymore. So it's kind of up to you. Like, do you want to play the Urshifu package? Oh, you can't see it on the screen. There he goes. Urshifu, do you want to play Urshifu or not? It's kind of up to you. Do you think Duraludon's going to be good? Because Urshifu is good for that, to get through that. Urshifu VMAX can just get through all the effects. Also, Sojourner is not usually played in these lists anymore. It is sometimes, as you see here. But that's also another interesting thing. Do you play the Sojourner or do you not? Pumpkaboo, I personally like the Pumpkaboo because Path to the Peak is very scary. Be able to Ultra Ball for Pumpkaboo, get that out, get Domestic Gazer for Pumpkaboo, be able to catch an Aroma. You have all these different outs for Pumpkaboo. Yes, it is only for Path to the Peak, but I think Mew is going to be a very very heavily played deck at NAIC. So I think having the outs to Pumpkaboo for Path to the Peak is fantastic. So that's why I definitely recommend it. Beavatol is great. Great attacker against Guardy, against Mew. You have this dark attacker that gets for weakness. Radiant Serena is interesting. Radiant Serena could be played or could not be played. Actually, I didn't play it at the Cup. I played because Radiant Serena really helps you with is for Greninja. Greninja can snipe what your Archeops, then save by both of them for knockout. I think that's what the math works out. So that's pretty interesting. But Radiant Serena says, no, you can't do that, really. You can't do that combo, right? So you can heal your Pokemon off that way. But if everybody's, expecting the Lugia decks to play Serena, you even see this list. This list actually doesn't play this Serena. Ooh, interesting. The Colors version doesn't play it. But being able to Serena off your Archeops is really good. Also, be able to get rid of ping damage is good. But is it necessary? That's the question you kind of have to ask yourself now. Because if Lost Box players are thinking, okay, they can play with Serena, and they don't ever go for it, then you really don't, you don't never really need to get Serena out to begin with. But if they do go for it and then realize you don't play Serena, then you're kind of in trouble. So that's kind of an interesting thing. It's kind of like, okay, do you do it or not do it, right? It's kind of the pick there. Got the research, discard your hand. Boss orders, like I said, 3. Instead of the 2 that we usually see, because Serena is not really played as much anymore. And now we have Iona in this list. Now, Iona is really good for this list because it does 2 things. It really does hurt your opponent late game. Late game, if you get Iona your opponent down to 1, you take a knockout, you're good to go. And early game, it actually lets you draw more cards. Because Judge, Judge is cute and all. Before, it's not really a lot. But being able to Ion your opponent to 1 or 2 is great. It's a great comeback card for Lugia now. And also be able to Ion it for 6 new cards is great by, when you only saw forward Judge. So that's a big, big thing there. So I think, that is a cool inclusion in this list. I do like that a lot. We are playing the Capture Room in the Ultra Balls. I think the debate of Great Ball versus Capture Room is pretty much done with. I did like the meme, of Great Ball versus Capture Roma, but I have switched over to Capture Roma. I know most players that I've talked to that used to play Great Ball are also Capture Roma. So, no more Capture Roma, or no, Great Ball. Nobody play Great Ball anymore. Sorry. No more memes to Great Ball. I know we're going to play 2 Mesagoza in 1 collapse most of the time. You can see sometimes we're playing 1, sometimes we're playing 2, but usually those are the only stated cards you really see in the stack as Mesagoza or collapse. I've seen 2 collapse and 2 Mesagoza. It's kind of up to you kind of thing. Nest Ball's still staying at the 2. It seems like, because, we got the Great Ball, got the Ultra Ball, and the Capture Romas, and the Mesagoza. So Nest Ball for 2 is great. You only need to find a base Pokemon, put on your bench. It's fine. We top Professor for Burnett. Single Strike Energy is where all the money is at. Makes your Single Strike Pokemon do 20 more extra damage. Makes it where Tyranitar is super strong. You do a ton of damage. Evothal, really strong. You do a lot of damage. And that's where the Urn of Vitality is coming. Now, it's interesting. Some of us are playing 2, but it looks like we're still gravitating more towards the 3 count instead of the 2 count. So that's a big thing there. And this will change as more online events do happen. So make sure you check this out more and more. This is early in the week when I'm recording this. 3 DTE still seems like the standard. Gift Energy, and I think Gift Energy is a really cool card because of Iona. Iona, definitely punishes the players, right? You put in that on 1 or 2, you're good to go. But with Gift Energy, you draw when a Pokemon's knocked out, right? And I really do think 4 of is a really cool thing to do with Gift Energy because it pretty much prevents you from getting Ionoed. And so you get Gift Energy, and then you got, if they Ion in 1 or 2, who cares? You're going to Gift Energy, draw, you have enough cards in your hand. And then you're going to hit the boss order, hit whichever name you want, the Urn or whatever. And then you're good to go. And you play 4 Gift, it puts in that situation of like, oh man, if I take a knockout and I own them, like what's the point? Like I pretty much did nothing. But, you don't try to upset their hand, but you get to get the energies. Now, Jet Energy is a really cool inclusion that we see. Let's say we're playing 2. But the thing about Jet Energy, you got to remember it's from the hand. So I don't know how much I'll like it actually in this deck list. Yeah, it can get you out of sticky situations. If you get decked out or something, like against Malwa or something, you have Jet Energy. But I think of people just thinking that you have Jet Energy is enough. They think you have Jet Energy. They can't really go for the stall tactic. Now, once again, they go for a stall tactic and you don't do anything, then you're in trouble. Is Jet Energy useful? Yeah, I think it's useful, but I think I like the 3 to 4. Then I like the 3 to 4 Gift Energy and just playing the 2. So I think we might, bump up the Gift Energy. So I like the bumping of the Gift Energy. Not really a fan of the Jet Energy. I get it, but just, you could still play cards that we don't see in here, even in the side cards, the common cards. We don't see Penny, and we don't see Thornton. Now Thornton's only useful if you're really playing. I think if you're playing the Urshifu, it could be really good. I did use Thornton multiple times to get Evothal back out, or trying to turn away the game. That is something you could do. So Thornton is a really cool card. I still like it, especially if you're playing closed deck list, which we will be at NAIC, so people don't know. At 2 V-Guard, I think it's still fine. It really does help out against good old Mew. It makes where Mew needs a lot of stuff to try to one-shot the Lugia VSTAR or Tyranitar. Like having that 260 HP is great. Alright, it's 30 more. Pretty sure it's 30 more. But yeah, having that, extra HP, making where your Tyranitar can live longer, your Lugia V-Star can live longer. Actually makes your Lugia live longer turn 2 or whatever. If it's because it bumped to 250, so they need more outs to try to go, usually 3 Future Strike Energy is what they need to knock out Lugia V, but with the V-Guard Energy, well, no, they're Tackle Meloetta, so it doesn't matter. I know it helps with Mew for the Lugia V-Star, stuff like that. Also, with Mew plus a Power Tablet, that's 220, but now V-Guard doesn't take a knockout, so they need another Power Tablet. So I think the V-Guard is very useful that way. But yeah, that's the single strike version of Lugia. Now, off to the side, got Pumpkaboo. I think it's still a great card. Bump Path to the Peak. You got the Urshifu, which is kind of up to you. Do you think Duraludon is going to be big? And is Sojourner needed? That is the big debate. Because, Sojourner is is an okay attacker. It still swings for a lot. It just stinks when you start with it. So I don't know. If you think Lost Box is going to be big, I think having Stonejourner and Evensaw could be really helpful to help out against that matchup. I don't think you're very Great Ball anymore. Serena's okay, but is it needed? Probably not. I think like the more boss orders is better. Talk about the EX Pokemon. Now, Squawkabilly EX is a card I haven't tested just yet. It does seem like a little bit of a liability because, like, one, you can only use on your first turn, and you discard your hand kind of effect. So I don't know how much I like Squawkabilly. I have seen it in the Japanese list, so I understand why people are playing it. But I don't know. Well, definitely it's a card I want to test throughout this week is how good is Squawkabilly EX turn 1 and getting off the effect. But I don't know. It's just a bench sitter that could get knocked out, right? And you only use it on your first turn, while like Lumineon you can use it throughout the game. And one Reversal Energy. Reversal Energy is pretty interesting. It only works on non-Roblox evolutions, so I guess like Archeop's the only one that works with. But I imagine the Reversal Energy also has Luxray in this deck. For some reason, it's not on here. But Luxray is good for that 180. I just don't... The problem with having Luxray right now when I'm thinking about it is like Luxray is only good for one turn when you're behind. So, like, is it worth it? I don't know. That's definitely another card that I'm thinking, like, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? 180 seems okay, but, like, I don't know. But anyways, there's Single Strike. This is the list of 56 cards. So you can add these cards in to make it, you know, up to 4 more to make it 60. You could add more cards on this list, too, like maybe more Gift Energy or something. And that's the cool thing about Lugia. It is, like, there is a solid, like, 55, 56 cards, but even within then, yeah, okay, I could play more cards, right? Now, we look into the colorless version. Now, something you need to note is it does play Snorlax. Snorlax is probably your like best attacker on the deck. It does 180. It's not affected by effects of attacks. So like Sableye can't ping it or something like that. So like stays alive. And now with the new therapeutic energy, you know, it does go to sleep, but then therapeutic wakes back up. So that's pretty cool. It does play 4 jet energy, so you're constantly like you can just move Pokemon on the active spot. White Deer is like a great like late game Pokemon that's coming out of nowhere. And you might think, okay, is White Deer needed? I think the answer is yes. You really don't have like a big, huge Pokemon that does a ton of damage. Like in this list, you have Tyranitar that can just swing for 1 million damage. That's kind of where White Deer does. So I think that is needed. And this list, I would definitely advocate for the Bravery Charm. Adding the extra 50 HP to White Deer is like fantastic. Because White Deer only has 220 HP, so it's kind of like you know, kind of not tanky at all. But this deck really does like thrive on like Snorlax. Just going in there, you know, beating a Pokemon with 188 damage, you know, really good against the Lost Box, stuff like that. Against a Guardy, you can use Snorlax, and you can have like a non-2-price Pokemon on the active spot, where like in other matchups, they're going to, you know, punish that way. Now, in this list, you still could use Evensaw in that kind of aspect, right? You kind of can like play maybe a second Evensaw. But yeah, Snorlax is good against, you know, Guardy, against Lost Box. Also, the 180 plus 180 does take out new hits, which is pretty neat. If you got Lugia plus some Snorlax, take a knockout, then plus Drapion. Now, Drapion's in here because there's no dark weakness like we see in this list with Single Strike. So Drapion is in there for the Gardevoir, for the Mew and stuff like that. So that's really cool. There's a Luxray in here. And with the Luxray, you are playing Reversal Energy. Just make it where you come up 180 out of nowhere if you're behind on price cards, right? So that's it's pretty nifty, but then like, what do you do afterwards, right? Because then you have Pokemon that just can't attack anymore unless you fall behind again. If you fall behind again, you're usually in trouble. So that's a big thing there. I don't know 100% sure if Luxray is needed, but I definitely, you know, we see it played in 75% of the list, right? White Deer, just like I said, good attacker. I like it. I like it a lot. And like Drapion plus Braviary Charm is like pretty sick. I do like that combo a lot. So test it out. 3 Iona. Once again, we're not playing any Judge, and this list plays more, I guess, because you don't play the urns in here, so you have, you know, more kind of space. But then you also play like more energies, like 4 DTE, which is great. And the cool thing about this deck is you could like, you know, DTE to Snorlax and a Jet Energy to punch for 160 for turn 2 and like start the aggression and make it where like, hey, I don't need Archeops ASAP. I have Snorlax that come in there and start taking knockouts, which is pretty neat. I do like that a lot. Gift Energy is still in here. I only played 2 though. This one does play 2 V-Guard as well. So we got 4, 4, 2, 2, 2, 1. So that's the list right now that we have. Only 3 research. Now you have 3 research instead of 4, and the extra Iono because you have less like you have more energies, but you don't have the urns to get back the energies, right? You have more energies, right? but that's to compensate for the no earns. So that's a big thing there. Still playing the the Mesagoza class. It's kind of up to you what you want to do, right? Jet Energy is really good. You want to get Pokemon on the bench from the active. Like I said, Snorlax come out of nowhere is really strong, especially for sleeping and stuff like that. Gift Energy, take draw cards. Now, they're pretty much almost the same except the attackers, right? So I think that's the big thing here. Now, once again, we are looking at Pumpkin. Is Pumpkin needed? I don't know, because this list does have Snorlax, so like Snorlax could be an attacker. Where, like I said, you're not really relying 100% on Archeops. Now, Archeops is still the bread and butter of this deck. You want the Archeops, so Snorlax can function without Archeops, which is pretty cool. So Pumpkin, maybe it's not as needed. Charizard, some lists are playing the 1. Now, Charizard's good. A late game attacker does a ton of damage. You only need the 1 energy, but as you see, this list doesn't play the Luminous energy, which you do need for the Charizard. But when you Luminous, you have to make sure your opponent has taken 4 prize cards, because if not, Charizard literally does nothing. So that is a downfall of Charizard. Charizard is a good late game attacker, but your opponent has to have taken 4 prize cards, and you have the Luminous energy in your deck. So like, it's a cool paper, but like, can you pull it off, kind of thing, right? This list plays the 3. This one plays some mixed. Might play 2 boss orders. I wonder why it's split like that. Bravery Charm, I talked about it some. I think it really is needed. Be able to give your Drapion like more HP, your Widear more HP is really good against those matchups. Makes it where like the matchups you are using it, they need more outs to take knockouts. Like I said, against Mew, Mew with the DTE and with a plus power. I'm drawing a blank on the thing that is called a tablet. Knocks out Drapion, but with Braviary Charm, it doesn't. So that's a big thing there. And also, you can tackle Drapion for no energies, or you could actually go against it if there's like a path to the peek out and like load up a Drapion. So that's actually really something nice you can do with Drapion against path to the peek decks. So that's pretty cool. Great Ball don't play it, Judge don't play it. You play the Ionas. Lost Vacuum, I don't think it's needed. You play enough stadium cards, and I'd rather play a Pumpkaboo over that. Sarita, I don't think it's needed as a Luminous. So, it's for Charizard. So, there we go. It's kind of like 2 different decks, right? And I think that's the cool thing about Lugia is you really don't know what version you're going to play. This is like the Single Strike version. We talk about everything like that. There is the Colorless version with the Snorlax and the Widear. I think they're both great decks. I think, it's just, you have the Archeops and you have your attackers. You have big Pokemon that can do a lot of damage. So yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Lugia. But yeah, like I said, these lists might change while more online tournaments are completed throughout the week. But yeah, like I said, huge shout out to Trainer Hill. Fantastic. I like looking at the data, looking at the different decks, looking at the different things that you could build. Like I said, here's 57 cards. Here's 56 cards. Start from there. These are obviously, the staples and stuff like that. And then you got some more common cards on your side. So yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk about Mew or Arceus. I think Mew's going to be tomorrow. So we'll talk about Mew tomorrow. Alrighty.